And if they got,
Well, I guess we went for, 27 years without an issue. All of a sudden it popped up its ugly face.
yeah. So if they jetted from here and the water went down, then you know it's tied in.
Now, the water went down.
We've located this clean out. It's covered up with concrete at a depth of 1'10". You can see here at the top of the pipe. Several good offset holes both ways of that. The problem is that it seems to be outside. It's about 105 feet. This will be a 6-inch clay line. Looks to be a downspout coming in here. Got a few fractures in the line around that. We call that a hammer tap. Looks to be a nail coming on the side of the pipe there, or a screw. So we've got water pouring in from this joint. I'm gonna pause the video. Here's the floor clean out. As you see, there's pretty much water coming in at a lot of the joints. You can see water coming in here at the right, water coming in from by the top of the clean out. So there's a lot of surface water to contend with under the slab. So now we're coming out of the house here. You can see the amount of water coming in the pipe. It's not raining right now, it just finished raining. There was a torrential downpour. You can see water coming in at this joint.
Well, he may have to come back after the water settles down. He said there's a lot of water, which is obviously what's coming up to that broken pile.
I'll pause the video. It's here, but I'll show you some of the problem is when you seal that off, that water needs to go somewhere. So the good thing is, if we did a liner, we would shoot it with jackhammer forward there and shoot it that way. Because if you seal this pipe off, then the water has nowhere to go.
Okay.
So a lot of times what they end up having to do is somebody either one has to put a sump pump in, or two, right there at the clean out, you put in a double T and you put a trap on it and you basically put a drain under the concrete so that that water has a place to go. I mean, you can see how it's flowing right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of water getting in this pipe, especially if you don't have your downspouts hooked up anymore.
No, we don't. It's just groundwater. I mean, there's a lot, because it's around here is so flat.
Right.
We got the hill across the road and all that water comes down.
Let's see, there's a pipe outside right there, water just pouring in.
On top.
I'm going to try and locate that a little bit and see.
Yeah, the one they found, it was on the bottom, so you just found the top one that the water's coming in.
There
You would
shouldn't
think
be
with
any
that much-
tie-ins in the bottom.
You would think with that much water, it would flow out any toilet paper and
Well,
stuff.
there's a major offset up here that I could barely get my camera through the first time. This looks like a root or a bolt or a screw or something. See that? It's like pointing right there. I don't know what it is. But that would have to be cut out if you put a liner in.
Well, how would you cut something like that
We
out?
got a machine that's got chains on it.
Okay.
Cut that. Like this joint right here, you can see water just pouring in.
Yep.
So when you seal that off, that water's got to go somewhere.
Well, I figured the thing was about 150 feet, because that's, to get out to that sewer out there, it's gonna be a good 150 feet to get to it.
Yeah, I got all the way out. It was like, so I didn't reset the counter on the bottom. I do my final inspection. I reset it at the tap and then pull it back, and it tells me exactly how long it is, because it measures from the center of the reel. I think the last time I was like 159 maybe. So once I get to roughly 105, 115 foot, let's see if the only thing I seen last time was an offset.
Well, the one guy may not have known what it was, but he said it was a broken tile, and he showed it to me. I mean, you could see the tile was broken.
And that might have just been a major offset too, because unless it was just so far underwater that I couldn't see it. So I'm showing 106, 107 foot, but like I said, it's from there, so it should be somewhere in this area. So there's a little bit of an offset right here on this joint.
Yeah, see, the problem was having the water in there.
But I mean, it's clear enough to where I see the pipe. You can see the terracotta look.
You have to wonder why anybody would have thought that stuff would last forever.
Right. Well, I tell you what, it's probably the best pipe they've had. I mean, you figure some of this is 100 years old.
Oh, easily. This house has been here since 1920.
PVC has a life expectancy of 50 years.
Oh, is that right? Well, what's the liner made of that you put in there?
It's a I've located this inlet at a depth of 5'10". We do a liner, we would have to go in and cut that clay so where it's not sticking down so far. And after we cut that clay, you would have the option either one, to go ahead and line over it, or two, after we line it, we come in with a Dan cutter and open it up so that it still drains in there.
I wonder where that water would go if it backed up.
So if that was closed off, then that's just going to be more pressure, on the outside of the wall and under the floor, because that water is going to go somewhere.
That's what I'm saying. I just wonder where that water is coming from. How far out is that, you say?
That's literally out there by that tree, that new tree you got planted.
Oh, really?
So you would, if you wanted to cut, and the problem with is, so if we come in, let's say we sell you a liner, we install the liner, you decide to reinstate that, meaning we cut it out so that it drains, there's always a potential for roots to grow into your line at that point. If you line over it, then it's just going to send more water somewhere else, whether it comes under the floor. And that's the plus side. If you were to do a liner and you do it from that clean out and don't do anything under here, then the water's still going to seep into the sewer line before it comes up, into the floor. I'll show you several spots under the house where water's coming in at the joints. The good thing is there's no roots, and I don't see any old roots either, to where you have to line under the slab. Because if you line under the slab, you're going to have issues with water backing up because you've got so much groundwater.
Yeah. How it wouldn't be from gutters.
You're definitely 100% sure that the gutters don't tie in anymore?
Well, what we did, there were drains and all these window wells. Mm-hmm. Okay, this one and the other two. So there were three of those. The village made me close them off. Then I put those covers over them to keep the rainwater out also. Now, whether those are open below the drain and broken and water's getting in, I don't know.
Well, that's pretty far out in the yard, though. What about the actual gutter downspouts? You said earlier that
no, they made me run them out in the yard. But now maybe well, that could be forcing that because put a lot of water out in the yard.
So there's just like a corrugated perforated pipe or something out in the yard.
Yeah, I just ran some black corrugated pipe out off the drains into the front yard, and it's possible that it's just because the water here just settles in this yard. Like we said, there's a pond out in the backyard right now. So it's possible that it's just all that water coming off the gutters going out in the front yard.
I'm showing some fractures there. Kind of see it in a wishbone, or it's like a triangle there. And yeah, I mean, as long as gutters are not going in there, and you know that, then
the gutters aren't going in there.
You can close that off.
Because they came and did a smoke test. Glendale, every 2 years they do a smoke test.
So it would be a 107-foot liner if you went all the way out, because that's the clean out there in the floor. So what I'll do is I'll show you back here where you'll see with this camera, with the skid on it, it tilts up when you pull back. I'll try and show you the joints that I've seen water coming out. And what they could do is install a drain underneath the floor right there to help take some of that water in. Actually, two of them. Which one is that? Let me pause this and see where that's at. So this inlet is actually the clean out. So this one here probably the old. Let me find it. I can tilt up to it a little bit and see. That's probably your old downspouts or this old drain here. But you have zero, with all this rain we just got today, you got zero water coming in.
Okay.
So you can close that off and not cut it out. And then if roots ever got in that line looking for water, they won't be able to get into your main.
So those, they're definitely all closed off. And then back here, I just ran, the black corrugated pipe out into the yard.
Right. So the thing with the Dan cutters was the machine that we use. Anytime you have a branch line, we have to take that machine in. It's got a cutter on it with a camera. It's an $80,000 piece of equipment. But we have to go in after the liner's installed and reinstate those branch lines, meaning we have to cut that liner out.
Yeah.
So the first one's 800 and each one after that's 400. So if it's lines that you don't use anymore, then there's no need to cut them out. It saves you a chunk of change. But there's two Dan cuts, so that'd be $1,200. There's a little bit of water drizzling. You can kind of see it moving, but not enough to even splash down. So what it's doing is it's running. You can kind of see it trickling right there, and it runs off there and runs off there. For $1,200, it's not worth the headache of it getting roots in it down the road. 'Cause once you seal that pipe off, those roots are going to try and, when roots come, they're going to try and find a place to come in.
Now, most of the trees that we've had out in the front yard have not been deep root trees. Or in fact, we've had some that actually literally blew over from high winds because they weren't deep rooted.
So that's the clean out.
Now, is that what's over here?
Yeah, that's the spot I located by that axe.
Over there,
Yeah.
okay.
But you can see the flow in there. I mean, you're getting a lot of water. There's a T or a Y, I'll show you on the camera, and there's a good amount of flow coming through it.
So it's just coming from groundwater?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because nobody's using, with only two of you, nobody's using any water, and it's been running since, you'll see it right here. I'm coming into the T now. With the skid on, it's going to be hard to see. You can see the water running. You can see it. It's a good picture of it before I put the skid on there. Pull it back so you can see. And then you've even got water running through this pipe. You can see it running there.
So actually, with all this water, that's probably why we went so many years without having a paper issue.
The water really helps.
Yeah. That's interesting. A bad thing was a good thing.
Mm-hmm. A couple spots I seen last time. With this skid on, it pushes the camera up. It makes it hard to see low again, but I got it recorded. In the first pass. You can see you got another inlet there that's bringing water in. You can see here water's coming from upstream, and
Now, where would that be, probably?
that is going to be. So I've located this spot right directly beside a floor drain at a depth of 1'4". You can still see water flowing up here. It's right there. So it's definitely helping you. So there's another inlet there with water coming in. When you took the downspouts off and ran it in the corrugated, did you plug the pipes that were going underground, or did you just leave them open, or do you recall?
Now, well, on the downspouts, you know, obviously they're open because it has to, but these I can't remember if I closed them off or not. But I did block them off with those shields on top, so no water's really getting in there.
So it's all underground.
Yeah.
So there's your cast iron.
What did they do before they had all this equipment?
Right. So there's $30,000 between these three owners.
Oh, I can believe it.
Yeah, three